I thought that physical abuse crossed the line, but I didn't think psychological torture quite crossed it.
I thought that Christians would deeply desire to know about abuse in our midst, when I was really making other people uncomfortable by telling my story.
I thought that I was one vivid illustration or one sad or angry meltdown away from relief.
I thought that my husband's free disclosure of some bad things meant that he was a truthful person. At least, I thought he wouldn't lie to me.
I thought eliciting advice would help. Although well-meaning, it was often unconsciously designed to soothe a listener's own anxieties in the moment.
I thought that submitting to my husband in things that were hurtful, harmful, or humiliating was showing my love for God and my trust in God.
I thought that if I was vigilant, then I would know everything that was happening in my home and keep anything really bad from happening.
I thought that all sexual abusers liked kids and were eager to be around them and spend time with them.
I thought that divorce was for unloving wimps who didn't really want to please God with their whole hearts.
I thought that anyone I would tell would naturally believe me and care about our suffering and want to help us.
I thought that if I loved him enough and submitted to him well enough, that would help him be kinder. And it seemed to work at times.
I thought that if my children were being hurt and harmed, then they would always tell me.
I thought that if my kids didn't go on sleepovers and were only cared for by parents and grandparents, then I had sexual abuse protection covered.
I thought that I was only supposed to focus on my duty as a wife and not demand that my husband fulfill any of the duties of a husband or wait for him to do the right thing first, ever.
I thought his abuses were mostly against me and not so much against the children.
I thought that prayer and the gospel would fix this, eventually.
I thought that a man who didn't have a heart to treat me well could be trusted along with my children.
I thought my husband was too scared of exposure in jail to continue.
I thought that with prayer, family support, and counseling, it would fix this, eventually.
I thought that as a strong woman, my zero tolerance for abuse would somehow magically make it dissipate. I didn't know that my resistance was one of the best parts of the game for him.
I thought that my husband's continual complimenting of his strengths and continual demeaning of my weaknesses meant that he was a more competent human being.
I thought that if I was mentally healthy enough that I can endure any amount of psychological torture and still be psychologically and physically okay.
I thought that if I loved him enough and explained how hurtful he was, then he would stop.